A storyboard exists for the next possible Earth avatar in Ba Sing Se. She's female, paraplegic, and has a large feline-type animal guide. Reference below. These are references. People cannot read and people got mad. These are references. These are not real things at all. This is just for people to understand what's being talked about, right? So, it's a girl with one leg and a big cat. These are references. It's entirely possible she was just an idea Avatar Studios had early on, unknown if she was the final product with these attributes. Even this stuff could be like years and years old. Because the premise for this is really interesting. And I think what they could do here is keep in mind, like, Sozin's comet is gonna come back during Korra's age. I think what would be cool is if they messed even more with like Rava's spirit. And then they had like the whole, sort of like we saw with Yue in book 1, right, where like she had to give up her life to like fix the moon. It would be cool if the whole like angle of her potentially like missing a leg or something is because there was like a whole spirit thing. Just to like bring back the actual danger of spirits and not make them cuddly. Something like that would be really, really cool. But we got no clue like how old this is and whether or not this is even the official picture. The only picture we have for Avatar Studios with the adult gang has still not been released officially. That picture is still leaked. This picture is theoretically still not official. This thing is still leaked. I'd love to see the two tribes in the Great Divide come back in some fashion. I just want them to like, I want them to embrace the spirit stuff, right? Because like going purely on the pattern they established, like Aang's story was about learning the elements, right? And then Korra's story was about learning just air and then spirituality. But now we've done both of those things. So what is the third avatar going to be? Personally, I think going 100% in on spirits and not like messing with the avatar stuff at all would be really compelling. Because if you look at the stuff that was in the Kyoshi novels, with like Yoon and sort of like the false avatar stuff, and then like the whole being literally pulled into the spirit world with like weird shenanigans where like he gave him his eye and it's real messed up. That's what I want. I want spirits that are literally akin to old god creatures messing with the human world. Because that's what they were. They were ancient primordial beings. And then Korra just made them into little cuddly things. We can have cuddly things, but not the spirits who are literally like hundreds of thousands of years old. I've got no idea what like level of maturity they're going for. Because if it's gonna be like Korra level, then I would like to see something Korra level in terms of maturity. I don't want like a funny goofy story, you know? Because when you take away the goofy faces, Avatar is extremely dark. And Korra was Avatar if you take away like those weird limitations Nickelodeon basically had, right? I want them to go even further. I want them to truly explore, just like, and this is not me being like an edgelord. That's what the Kyoshi books did, that is what the Roku books did, and that is most certainly what the Yang Chen books did. All of them were like Avatar stories, but how they actually would look like. Because people can say, oh, you got hit with a rock. Boo-hoo. If you got hit with a rock, it'd be real bad. And a lot of the books really embrace like what would bending actually look like and the dangers of like the political intrigue that we sort of touch on but never explore. The books explore that. Like the White Lotus in Yang Chen was so good. Origin story for bending has potential. I still think that they should go back instead of forward. This next Earth avatar is supposedly going to be the next avatar, right? Because it's clearly not going to be Kyoshi. So it's supposed to be the next avatar. I think what I would love to do is to see the second avatar. The one right after Wan. Because nothing in the world was defined. Literally nothing to do with the avatar in the world was defined. Wan was the first thing and became a legend because of that. I want to see how the world would react to the second one. There is so much story you could tell. Like entire like religions could basically pop up because they think it's like a second one, and how did that happen? Maybe anyone can be it, you know? There is so much like political stuff you can write around that where people want him to be on their side because it's the Avatar, right? You can master all 4 elements. If you team up with us, we can take out all the other nations, right? Sort of what Sozin did. You could write a whole religious angle where they start to like basically worship the Avatar, right? That's where the whole Sage angle can be pulled into. There is so much story you could tell with like a non-defined Avatar world. But again, that would demystify the world, and you need to be very careful about that. Because if you explore, for example, the White Lotus, how the White Lotus was formed, why it exists, the entire ambiguity and mystery of why it's an order to begin with is gone. Because you just explained it. And that's not good. With a lot of these things, it is better to not explore it at all. Or with Avatar, what's the character? We don't know literally anything about it. We know nothing about it. Nothing about it. The only stuff we know is potentially this. I would hope that it explores spirits. And not spirits in the Book 2 sense, but spirits in the our world is messed up. What I would do is I would basically create like a slightly different version of what happened with Roku, right? So Roku died, and that's when the war started. I would basically make it so that the death of Korra is literally the thing that sparks war immediately. That's what I would do. It isn't like a thing of Roku's death sort of was the final straw, but I would do it so that Korra's death is literally the thing that creates war in the first place. And then like everything in the story revolves around the death of Korra and how that will affect the next Avatar. That's what I would do. Personally, because I think it'd be interesting. I think the whole like shunned Avatar and like the lost Avatar, forgotten Avatar, all those kinds of tropes would be really, really interesting to explore. And I wish they did that more, because like I'm gonna make a video about this too. I'm gonna spoil it real quick. I think one of the most interesting little plots in Avatar is when the Avatar is hated, because that is such an interesting angle. The Avatar is supposed to be like this neutral force balancing everything, but you know what happens when you balance everything? The force that was better, like the stronger part, is gonna be mad because you balanced away their power. And that is good. Or on the complete flip side, the force that you never balanced, like the dude in the storm, for example, he hates Aang and thinks Aang is a wuss who disappeared for 100 years. I think that is great. And it would be really, really cool if, well, it wouldn't be cool, but it would be cool from a storytelling perspective. If, like, Korra's legacy was that she died in like an ambiguous way and war immediately broke out. While they're making a film. The film is going to be the adult Aang. The film is not about Korra. What happens if the Avatar hates the world? Now you're writing fire, yes. I would really like, well, again, we have to talk about Korra if you want to talk about the Avatar hating the world, because theoretically, the Avatar is the spirit of light. And Avatar never established, like Rava, as a zealous spirit. Rava was just pure. What I think, like, this is another thing where I want to bring up Yang Chen, because the Yang Chen novels made the White Lotus not good. They made them zealous in certain parts of the story. And that's what they should have done with Rava. Make her be light and make her be pure, but make her be zealous in that purity. And that is the bad part of Rava. Where, yeah, it's order, but that zealousness could upset balance. Just like, Vaatu, right? Because this whole light and dark angle, that's what it's supposed to be in Avatar. This is not Lord of the Rings. In Lord of the Rings, it was dark and light, you know? It was bad and good. In Korra, it wasn't supposed to be that. You want Illidan to be the next Avatar, don't you? Honestly, I think Illidan's story would kind of, like, basically, yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is Kuruk. Absolutely. Kuruk is a misunderstood Avatar. Yes. And that is why I'm really looking forward to the inevitable Kuruk novel, which apparently is happening. Apparently, there will be a Kuruk book. Yes. Kuruk's entire story is about being misunderstood. The world thought he was nonchalant, while in reality, he was, like, fighting everything. I think, like, all the angles of the Avatar, just like, because we've done all the world-ending threats. We've fought Ozai. We've stopped Vaatu. What we need to zero in on is the world itself. And that's what I mean. Either it is like, because like, think about it this way. Let's say Korra opened the spirit portals, right? And then Sozin's comet comes back and a group of firebenders goes insane and uses the comet to like provoke some sort of spirit, and the entire spirit world comes crashing out into the human world and messes up the human world. Who are you going to blame? You're gonna blame Korra. And suddenly Korra is the misunderstood Avatar and the one that is hated by the world. That sparks so much story, almost so much story there. So much story. It's literally just writing itself. And that would be a conflict we have never seen before, at least not on that scale. It would be glorious. It would be like Kuruk, only 100 times worse. I need to read the Avatar novels. They're judging me from the bookshelf. The Avatar novels are really, really good. The Roku one, unfortunately, does a lot of weird things, and I think the Roku one is a bit too fan servicey. But in terms of reading through them, I think I was most like invested in Roku's story. Then it was definitely Kyoshi, and Yang Chen was like the least engaging one. But I think Yang Chen was one of the most interesting ones, if that makes sense. Maybe like as time passes, I think the Kyoshi novels will get like better for me, because right now I do think I have like recency bias with the Roku novel. The Roku novel leaned a bit too much into fan service in certain parts where it didn't really make sense. The novels are real good though. Big recommend if you haven't read them.